Welcome to the Dive Heart First podcast, where we clear out what has been troubling in the mind so we can dive into the intelligence of the heart. I'm your host, Jen Walker, and today I'm going to share a personal story with you. I have moved, and I'm going to share the story of how this all came to be. So last week in my monthly newsletter, I was sharing with that group this moment of realization I had that where I was living had come to an end and I was complete. It was time to move on and move forward. And also this moment of realization that I was untethered, that I could really go anywhere. And although I was very open and excited for this shift, for this change, I also noticed that I was scared. And I had been living in this one property for 6 years. It was waterfront. It was beautiful. And I had been in that area for 9 years. And before that, I had been very transient and nomadic. And I wouldn't think twice about packing up a backpack and moving across oceans or packing up a car and moving across country. But for whatever reason, I had grown roots where I was. And there was these familiar patterns, habits, routines, rhythms. And I was scared to leave the known, even though I knew it wasn't the right fit anymore, to go for the unknown. So knowing it was really the time to move on, I made an agreement, a commitment to myself, and I gave myself a deadline that by July 1st, which is today, that even if I didn't know where I was going to give up this beautiful waterfront property. I was going to probably sell most of my stuff, pack up the Jeep with Dean, the cutest cockapoo that you've ever seen, in the front seat, and as much stuff as I could fit in the back seat. And I was going to get into motion. And I was just going to drive. I was just going to drive in a direction and rent Airbnbs and just follow the breadcrumbs from there. See where the wind takes me and Dean. So after I set that commitment, that deadline in my mind, 2 weeks to that date, I noticed a man that was walking down my driveway, and I could just feel it. I could feel that it was going to be something. And I didn't know what it was going to be, maybe a great conversation or a great new connection. I had the assumption that he was my new neighbor coming to introduce himself to me, which was the case. And when we started talking, we had so many similarities and experiences and in interests, and our conversation was going everywhere, just popcorning all around. And then he started to share with me why they bought next door to me. And he had met his partner, his fiance in BC, who lived in Toronto, and he lived in Quebec and could relocate. So he moved to Toronto, but then he said to me, but once you live on the water, you can't not live on the water. So they had bought this property 2 hours north of Toronto as their second property so they could have time on the water. And then I started to share with him that I knew that my time here was done, that it was time to move on. And I get it, because it's tough to leave when you have such a great spot. Then all of a sudden, he goes on and he's telling me about this place in Quebec that's on the river that has a hot tub and a sauna and walking distance to this coffee roastery. And there's live music, amazing food, and it backs on to this gorgeous surrounding area that is outdoor activity, like haven. And I make a joke with him, like, oh my goodness, why'd you ever leave? And he's like, you know what? Like, I know I wouldn't have if it wasn't for my fiance. And then what came out of me next kind of surprised me. I didn't even think about it, but I blurted out, are you selling? And it was almost like if we were 2 cartoon characters, you would see light bulbs appear above our heads. And he looks at me and he's like, I am. And it's not yet on the market. I will be putting it on the market in the spring, and you should go before that and check it out. So after that conversation, it just stuck with me, and Quebec was not on the map for me, on my radar as somewhere I was considering going. But something about it felt very alive, and it just stuck. I kept on thinking about it, kept on thinking about it. More started to happen of where I was living, where it was very clear it was time to leave. And in the new year, end of January, beginning of February, I came out here for a visit. I came for a week. I stayed for 11 days. And on the 11th day, I was really hoping for a snowstorm so I could stay longer. And as I left here, I knew I was very interested to move here. But I didn't know if I wanted to buy. I didn't know if I wanted to create and grow new roots and a new tether. So my best case scenario that I didn't know if he would go for was to rent. So couple weeks pass and we start talking, and I propose that I rent from him, considering the market's not so great for him to sell, and he would get more equity into the place. And he just lit up like a Christmas tree. It was like best case scenario for him too, and everything. Like, I was very interested to move here, but I came in very non-attached. So if it were to go into flow and there was no resistance or clunkiness, then I would go with it. But if there was any sort of clunkiness, I wasn't going to force the situation. I was going to pack up the Jeep, and me and Dean would figure out a different way. So anyway, it worked out so well. It couldn't have been smoother. Like, even with the furniture, the things he wanted to leave, or the things that I wanted him to leave, things he wanted to take, or furniture that I wanted to bring in. Even the transition move was it's just hilarious how easy and in flow all of this has been. So here I am. I've moved. I've been here for less than a week. And what I think I'm most excited for is being in this unknown again, because I truly don't know. I don't know if I'll be here for a year. I don't know if I'll be here for 10 years. A part of me wonders if, like, I'll move to a different province every year. You never know. Like, I'm very open to what happens next. And if you're interested in what's next for me, because I truly don't know, definitely join my newsletter, because that newsletter is turning into these like monthly musings of stories, reflections, and insights that I'm having in real time. So if you're interested in the unfolding of the unknown of the next year, next 10 years in my life, come over and join that. And it really got me thinking, because as more people have been asking me, like, how did I find this place? It's really interesting to see that I didn't find this place, that this place actually found me. And this place literally came knocking on my front door. And it got me thinking about how many opportunities or answers or the next step is already around us and is just one conversation or connection away. So I'll have you think about that for yourself. If there's something on your mind, I think you're probably closer than you think. And it could be literally just one conversation or one connection away. So that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me. I love you, and go out and have an absolutely tremendous day.